Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention please? We are going to start the opening of CKIL webinar series on language policy and language education in Southeast Asia. For your information, we also have live streaming for this webinar on CKIL YouTube channel. May I ask our distinguished guest to turn on the camera during the opening ceremony? Head of Bureau of Cooperation and Public Relations, Ministry of Education and Culture of the Republic of Indonesia, Ms. Avi Mulyani, PhD. Director of Simeo Secretariat, Dr. Ethel Agnes P. Valenzuela. Senior Education Officer of Brunei Darussalam Teacher Academy, Ms. Hajah Siti Salawati binti Haji Abu Hanifah. Director of the Institute of Foreign Languages, the Royal University of Phnom Penh, Cambodia, Mr. Thit Mao. Head of Center for Development and Empowerment of Teachers and Education Personnel in Language, Ministry of Education and Culture of the Republic of Indonesia, Dr. Luiza F. Saidi. Rector of Institute of Teacher Education, Ministry of Education of Malaysia, Dr. Rusmini binti Ku Ahmad. Director General of Department Myanmar Nationalities Languages, Ministry of Education of Myanmar, Dr. Zhao Min. Undersecretary of Department of Education of Philippines, His Excellency Attorney Tonisito MC Umali Esquire. Associate Dean, Faculty of Arts, Chulalongkorn University, Assistant Professor Dr. Nirada Chitrakara. Master Teacher or English Language Institute of Singapore, Ms. Elaine Yu. Advisor to the Minister of Education, Youth and Sports of Timor-Leste, Mr. Gemito De Jesus. Head of Investment Division of International Cooperation Department, Ministry of Education and Training of Vietnam, Ms. Tran Thi Pong. Director of Simeo Kitab in Language, Dr. Luanik Mayani. All of directors or representatives of Simeo Center in Indonesia, Director of Institut Francais de Indonésie, representative of Goethe Institute and Japan Foundation. All distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to the opening ceremony of CKIL webinar series on language policy and language education in Southeast Asia. Ladies and gentlemen, the webinar would be begun with formality session as follows. First, singing the national anthem of Indonesia, Indonesia Raya, followed by the presentation of Simeo color and Simeo song, reports of event by Director of Simeo Kitab and Language, Dr. Luanik Mayani, welcoming remarks from Director of Simeo Secretariat, Dr. Ethel Agnes P. Valenzuela, and opening remarks from Head of Bureau of Cooperation and Public Relations, Ministry of Education and Culture of the Republic of Indonesia, Ms. Avi Mulyani, PhD. Last but not least, group photo session. Ladies and gentlemen, to start our agenda, we will see the presentation of Indonesia Raya, Simeo colors, and Simeo song.
Indonesia tanah air It's time to open our eyes to a bright and promising future. We'll rise to the call of the times and create a stronger tomorrow. Let's start to make a difference, teaching everyone to learn through science, health, and technology. We will share our expertise by promoting knowledge and policies. We can build a better world. Let us take a stand for our visions of hope, making future plans for the people to grow in a life filled with happiness and green. Here a symbiote, building the future is our legacy. We'll achieve our goals through partnership, creating opportunities. By working hand in hand, we can accomplish all our dreams. For a better quality of life is now within our reach. Let us take a stand for our visions of hope, making future plans for the people to grow in a life filled with happiness and green. Here a symbiote, building the future is our legacy. Let us take a stand for our visions of hope, making future plans for the people to grow in a life filled with happiness and green. Here a symbiote, building the future is our legacy. Building the future is our legacy.
Now, we would like to invite the Director of Senior Kitab in Language, Dr. Luanik Mayani, to deliver report of events. To Dr. Luanik, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ms. Farah. A very good morning to all distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, please let me express my gratitude to the God Almighty for His bless given to us today so that the CKILS webinar series on language policy and language education in Southeast Asia can be conducted and attended by all respected guests and participants. Secondly, please allow me to extend my sincere welcome to the Honorable Head of Cooperation and Public Relations Bureau for Ministry of Education and Culture of the Republic of Indonesia, Ibu Evi Mulyani, PhD. Distinguished Dr. Krit Satchai Somsaman, the Deputy Director for Administration and Communication of CIMEO Secretariat, respective Board of Directors of CIMEO Center Indonesia, Director of Institut Frances di Indonesia, representative of Goethe Institute Jakarta, and also from Japan Foundation. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your availability attending this webinar. I would also like to extend my gratitude and warm welcome to all keynote speakers, Simeo Kitabin Language Governing Board members joining us today and tomorrow. A very good morning and warm welcome to Miss Hajah Siti Salawati binti Haji Abu Hanifah from Brunei Darussalam, Mr. Tib Map from Cambodia, Dr. Luisa F. Saidi from Indonesia, Dr. Rusmini binti Ku Ahmad from Malaysia, Dr. Shao Min from Myanmar, High Excellency Attorney Tonisito MC Umali Esquire from the Philippines, Ms. Elaine Yeo from Singapore, Assistant Professor Dr. Nirada Chitrakara from Thailand, Mr. Gemito De Jesus from Timor-Leste, and Ms. Tran Thi Puong from Vietnam. Thank you very much for your presence, and it's such a great honor for us that you are here with us today, attending and presenting later on for this international webinar. Ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to inform you a brief report about this webinar. This webinar series will be conducted for 2 days, today and tomorrow, attended by 450 registered participants from 9 countries, namely Indonesia, Cambodia, Laos PDR, Malaysia, Myanmar, Philippines, Saudi Arabia, Thailand, and Taiwan. Most of them are language teachers, education personnel, and also language practitioners. This is very relevant to the aim of this webinar to provide a forum for language teachers, educational personnel, officers, practitioners, and policymakers to discuss language policy and language education practice in Simeo member countries. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, mapping the language policy and language education in Southeast Asia will give us a broader perspective on how nations in Southeast Asia manage the language issue in the region. Southeast Asia is a region which is rich of languages, either local languages, official languages, or foreign languages. Each language, of course, has its own functions and roles. Furthermore, those functions and roles may impact the education policy in each respective country in the region. Thus, the theme of language policy and language education are worthwhile and interrelated one another, hence it is valuable to be discussed together. Ladies and gentlemen, Simeo Kitabin language is a center focuses on developing the quality of language teachers and education personnel of Arabic, Chinese, German, Indonesian as a foreign language, Japanese, as well as mother tongue. Regarding those languages focused by CKIL, this webinar is of course beneficial to each Asian country to report the language taught at schools so that the center could make some necessary changes or improvement to adjust teachers and or students' needs in language teaching and learning. Hence, in the coming years, the language program planned by the center could be well, if not perfectly meet the need of teachers in Southeast Asia region. Furthermore, we do hope keynote speakers, respective guests, and all attendees could give their critical insights, evocative comments, and meaningful suggestions to Simeo Kitabin language during this webinar. And hopefully all participants could deepen their knowledge on language policy and language education in Southeast Asia. Finally, we hope that Dr. Kritsachai Somsaman, the Deputy Director of Administration and Communication of Simeo Secretariat, could give a welcoming remark to guide the center improving its role in the region. And to the Honorable Ibu Evi Mulyani, PhD, the Head of Cooperation and Public Relations Bureau, could give her opening remarks and officially open the Sikil webinar series on language policy and language education in Southeast Asia. Once again, thank you very much for your attendance and your kind attention. May we all have a fruitful webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Luani. Now, we would like to invite Deputy Director, Administration and Communication of CMU Secretariat, Dr. Krit Sachai Somsaman, to deliver welcoming remarks. To Dr. Sachai Somsaman, the floor is yours.
Thank you, CMC. Honorable High Official of the Ministry of Education, Indonesia, distinguished organizer of this webinar series on language, headed by Dr. Luani Mayani, Director of CMU in Language, esteemed speakers, officers, staff, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to all of us. On behalf of the Director of CMU Secretariat, Dr. Ethel Agnes Pascal Valenzuela, I am very honored to be joining you today and officially welcome all of you in this initiative of CMU in Language. This webinar gathers the expert in language policy and language education in Southeast Asia, and I'm confident that all our participants who are joining us will be enlightened with the existing factors and main considerations as regard language policy and language education in Southeast Asia. This COVID-19 pandemic has given unprecedented challenges in Southeast Asia. We need to work closely together and harness and complement each other's strength to push the region forward. I am pleased to know that CMU in Language has gathered together language and policy education experts from CMU member countries and other neighbor countries in the region who will all share the time and expertise on the topic assigned to them. I am confident that the participants will take home a lot of critical information that will strengthen existing policies and programs that concern language education. One of the key takeaways from this pandemic is that we can no longer go back to what we consider as normal. On a positive outlook, while we cannot and should not go back to the familiar normal, we should build a better normal where education is responsive to disruptions. Teachers are flexible and ready to transition to alternative learning modalities at any given time. And indeed, no learner is left behind. I am quite sure that with the experts who will join us in the next 2 days, we will be able to accomplish this. From the CMU headquarters in Bangkok, Thailand, allow me to give the heartiest gratitude to all speakers and to the organizer, CMU in Language, for hitting the call of the minister to ensure that no one is left behind, and especially during these trying times. Thank you very much for your time, and may we all learn from the presentation. I welcome all of you and wish you all success for this special webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Krit Sachai Somsaman. Next, as our main agenda, may we invite Head of Bureau of Cooperation and Public Relations, Ministry of Education and Culture of the Republic of Indonesia, Ms. Evi Mulyani, PhD, to deliver remarks and officially open Sikil webinar series on language. Ms. Evi Mulyani, the time is yours.
Terima kasih. Honorable Dr. Krit Sachai Somsaman, Deputy Director for Administrative and Communication of the CMU Secretariat, Dr. Luani Mayani, Director of CMU in Language, resources persons of today's webinar, respective language teachers, education personnel, officers, practitioners, and policymakers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat pagi, a very good morning to all of you. It is my great pleasure to deliver the remarks on this webinar and to be with you all. I would like to extend to you all a very warm welcome to the webinar series on language policy and language education in Southeast Asia. Ladies and gentlemen, language plays important roles in all aspects of life. People use language to communicate their thoughts, which then enable them to achieve their goals. Furthermore, quoting Mr. Wang Gungwu, 27, language, nation, and development are connected to one another. Language lies behind the nation state as well as the process of development. We have seen how nation building pressures have strengthened certain language and weakened others. In some cases, even destroying some languages. We have also witnessed how countries in the world completely turn around their language policies to favor a language that would support their country's rapid development. In other words, language can be sacrificed in the name of nation building and in turn, the national demands for development. Southeast Asia is a multilingual region. Language policy becomes significant for political and cultural aspects in multilingual countries. Language policy does not entirely mean choosing which languages as their language. Instead, considering the roles and functions of each language. This requires thoughtful consideration from the government. Thus, each country would have different language policy due to various contributed factors. Ladies and gentlemen, in education context, language is a means for students to gain comprehension, do the tasks, and solve problems in learning. Thus, language planning is necessary in education, particularly in multilingual societies. It is important to decide not only what language taught at as school subjects, but also the language used as medium of instruction and of interaction between teacher and students as well as among students. Language policy is then needed to ensure that the language use and language learning is able to accomplish educational goals. In a broader scope, the pressures we are facing today require different strategies. National education systems need to adjust to meet the demands. In this webinar, we may see how the language policy of each country in Southeast Asia region adjusts the changing world, how language as a symbol of a nation affirms its functions and roles, how education policy addresses the practical needs for national development and globalization. Those questions are worthwhile to be discussed in this occasion. Having informed on those issues may benefit CMU member countries to increase recognition of a linkage between language and development in an ideal level. We may integrate identity of ASEAN through language. We may strengthen ASEAN identity by teaching ASEAN official languages among ASEAN students. In other words, we may strengthen the region through language. Finally, the results and recommendation of this webinar may be able to pose prospects of the language policy in Southeast Asia. SIKIL as a center focuses on language is expected to provide reference for language policy making and implementation of language education in CMU member countries. Ladies and gentlemen, by reciting Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, I declare SIKIL webinar series on language policy and language education in Southeast Asia is officially open. I wish you all a constructive and fruitful webinar. Stay safe and stay healthy. Selamat pagi, good morning. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Ms. Afi. Ladies and gentlemen, the next agenda is photo session. May we request our resource persons, distinguished guests, and board of directors of CMU Kitab in Language to put your best position and smile for virtual photo sessions. Please be ready, and I'll count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Well, may we take one more photo, please? 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, now we will start with the presentation by our resource persons. I would like to give information regarding the house rules of the webinar beforehand. Log in and write your account using the format, complete name and institution, and then mute your audio during the presentation from resource persons. Should you have any questions, you can write it down on Q&A box featured in Zoom. Thank you. To chair the session, we kindly invite Ms. Endang Nila Pramawardhani, an education and training expertise. She is currently being a French language teachers trainer of Center for Development and Empowerment of Language Teachers and Education Personnel. To Ms. Nila, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ms. Farah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining the webinar today. My name is Nila Pramawardhani. It's already been introduced by Ms. Farah, and I'm the moderator for today.
Ibu Nila, mohon maaf suara Ibu sangat kecil, Ibu. Mungkin volumenya bisa dibesarkan sedikit. Terima kasih.
Bentar, baca dulu. Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Is that clear? Can you hear me? Okay, thank you. Selamat pagi. Good morning. Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining our webinar today. And I'm going to be your moderator for today. Since the host of this seminar is Language Center, so I'm going to recite two wise words concerning language, and they are taken from the center's 2020 calendar. Language is the dress of thought by Samuel Johnson. But if thought corrupts language, language can also corrupt thought by George Orwell. Thank you. Let's begin our main session. 5 presentations on language education policy from governing board members of SIKIL. And today's session will be divided into 2. The first session is for 2 governing board members from Indonesia and Brunei Darussalam. The next sessions will be given to governing board members from Cambodia, Malaysia, and Myanmar. Our first presenter is Dr. Luisa Saidi, Head of Center for Development and Empowerment of Language Teachers and Education Personnel, Ministry of Education of the Republic of Indonesia. She became the head of center since 2015, and prior to that, she was the head of Education Quality Assurance Office in Gorontalo. And she was newly appointed as the representative from Indonesia to SIKIL in 2020. Today, she's going to discuss about a language education policy in Indonesia. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Luisa Saidi. Yes, Ibu Luisa, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Bu Nila. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Good morning, everybody. Honorable to the Director of Siameo Kitab in Language. Ladies and gentlemen, let's begin about language education policy in Indonesia. We talk about language, that is, language is the tools of how to communicate one and between the others. So language education in globalization is language is more important to everyone. So the influence of globalization for education in future will be translated with two-way perspective, diversity, multidisciplinary, and involving work productive and competitive. So all of the language is the challenge that is faced by students to be independent entrepreneur. 4 C's, critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, and communication, that is important for us to how we learn about language. Qualified education equitable. We talk about language, so we talk about education. For example, 2 years of compulsory education plan, higher order thinking skill, professionalism, quality, supervision, and assignment of the teacher. How to holistic and integrated early childhood development. Education affirmative. So we can talk about affirmative that all of the school in Indonesia also focus of education affirmation. Best facilities and infrastructure of education, so more important how to high quality of education. Next, talk about language and education, how to make the student character development strategy, developing Indonesian character. Character building, so we talk about literacy, how the develop of culture and sport achievement, education of different state, religion education, character education, understanding and implementation of religion values, the improvement of revitalization and actualization of art, culture, tradition, and historical value. In the Ministry of Education in Indonesia have strategy objective of ministry, that is the quality of learning and relevance of education in all levels. How to equalization of qualified education service in all levels. Affirmation of student characterization. Improvement and presentation of language and culture. So all of this is how to government participate and transparent on and accountable education and culture. Talk about character. So in learning and studying in the classroom, so we can the output student, we make the Pancasila student. The Pancasila student is it means faithful to God and noble morals, independent, critical analysis, creative, community service, and global diversity. 5 strategies of holistic learning of Ministry of Education and Culture. The first is transformation of schools leadership. Next, transformation education and teachers training. The third, teaching and based on student level. The fourth, global grade standardization. And the last is partnership with society. The Ministry of Education and Culture in this year, 20 and 20, have programmed the first teacher mover, reinforcement of headmaster, continuing of professionalism development, and partnership with stakeholders, like between CMU and the other office. Talk about language is we talk about literacy, reading aspect in PISA's competency. The first, the ability of uttering the information. Second, developing interpretation. The third, reflecting and evaluation text. Learning model is more focused on activity and encouraging students to think highly. Literacy in digital base. Talk about literacy, how to write experiences, visual, and then social problem, and how about scientific problem solving. So if we can do this aspect, maybe students can learn the best from before. Center for Development and Empowerment of Language Teacher and Personnel have partnership. For example, Relax Singapore, Goethe Institute, EV Frank in Indonesia, the Japan Foundation, Relo Jakarta, and other universities in Indonesia. I think it's enough for me to present how to Language Teacher Training Center make the teacher language in Indonesia education and have training in this center. We hope CKL can work together and collaborate in this program, other program, and also the next time, the next year we can move and the best program to collaborate together. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Dr. Luisa, for the informative and interesting talk. Let's give a bigger round of applause for Dr. Luisa. I'm the only one clapping here. Thank you. Okay. Okay, let's move to the next presenter. Is Miss Haja Siti Salawati binti Haji Abu Hanifa. Okay, I will repeat. The next presenter is Miss Haja Siti Salawati binti Haji Abu Hanifa, Senior Education Officer of Brunei Darussalam Teacher Academy, as well as lead facilitator and lead trainer. She is also the governing board member of CKL from Brunei since 2020. The topic that she's going to talk about is the history and policies of language education in Brunei Darussalam. Without further ado, the floor is yours, Ibu Haja Siti Salawati.
Okay, thank you, Ibu Nila, for the introduction. Okay, Assalamualaikum to all my Muslim friends here, and very good morning to the rest of our friends here. All right, maybe we can, I'm waiting for my slides to come up actually. All right, okay, thank you. All right, okay, this is
Cậu không xăm Viber à? Sếp yêu cầu báo cáo vào mặt.
Sorry. All right, so thank you very much again for this opportunity, okay, to present today. All right, can I move on to the next slide, please? Can you all hear me? Can you all hear me? All right, okay. So I'm Hajah Siti Salawati Haji Bonifah, as Ibu Nila introduced me just now. All right, so I think I can skip this slide actually. All right, so I will divide this presentation into two sections. Okay, the first one I will talk about Brunei in brief. I don't think I will talk a lot about that because everybody knows where Brunei is. I would like to emphasize the history of language education policies in Brunei because I feel that in order for you to understand our language education and policies, and I'm talking about the English language policy here, I need to bring you back to our history and how it was then and how we have evolved throughout the years. I will talk about, sorry, it's not the post-colonial era, the 1950s era, our Dui Bahasa program initiative and our new system, which is the SPN 21. And all right, and then I will talk about our current situation, about our latest initiatives, and then how we support our teachers in schools. Next slide, please. All right, just Brunei in brief, in order for you to understand where I'm coming from. We are just at the tip of the Borneo Island, the north of Borneo Island, and the population is just 450,000. So it's very, very, very small. I think we are a lot smaller than most of the villages in Indonesia, I think. All right, and we are predominantly Malay, and 66% of us are Malay and others are Chinese. The indigenous people are the natives people like the Iban, the Burut, and the rest are the expatriates who come and work here. Now, Bahasa Melayu is the official language, but English is used as a second or third language, but it is used as the main language for business and government affairs. Okay, so you hear that you'll find that most of us speak quite fluent English here, and it's widely spoken and it's a medium of instruction in most institutions. So only except for the Islamic University, which is and the Maktab Perguruan Agama Brunei, they use Malay as medium of instructions. Next slide, please. All right. The first one I will be talking about is the history of language education and policies in Brunei Darussalam. But I want you to take a moment and look at those pictures over there, the black and white pictures. So I want you to imagine how far I'm going to bring you back. Okay, so if you look at the middle picture at the top, you'll see people on a sampan, which is a small boat. And just to let you know that 80% of our population lived on water villages. So you can imagine the socio-economic situation at that time. And so it's you have wooden houses, and it's just you just have a look at the picture. All right. Okay, next slide, please. All right, so I'll start with language education in the 1950s. Although our formal education started in the 1912, it is only in the 1950s that English was formally taught in schools. All right, so, and there is a huge emphasis on the use of 3 R's, the reading, writing, and arithmetic. And because it was introduced in the secondary school, you can imagine the people who manage to go to the upper secondary schools are those from the elite classes or those from the working class. All right, so, and if you look at the picture there, the small picture over there, it is taught by an expatriate. Okay, so our expatriates not come only from the UK, but they come from Malaysia and some from Singapore. Okay, and they are of Indian or Chinese nationals. All right, okay, and because English language is very new in the 1950s, there is not a lot of emphasis on technical English or the teaching of grammar. So they use English literature to teach English. Okay, so there's a lot of teaching of poems and drama, because the idea is to get them to know English, the culture. Okay, so it's not very much very technical. Can I go to the next slide, please? Then in the 1980s, the system Dwi Bahasa means bilingual and language system, okay, in the 1980s. Now, this was introduced right after our independence in 1984. And the aim of the bilingual education has been described as ensuring the sovereignty of the Malay language while at the same time recognizing the importance of English language. So by means of the education of Negara Brunei Darussalam, a high degree of proficiency in both languages should be achieved. So while we are, while Malay is very important, but it's also very important that, you know, our children learn English. All right, and right after 1984, there's a huge influx of CFBT teachers coming in to help with the teaching of English language in Brunei Darussalam. Now, what is the bilingual language system and how does it work? So from preschool till year 3, all subjects are taught in Malay except English language. From year 3 till year 6, all subjects are taught in English except for the Malay language, physical education subject, and religious studies. All secondary level subjects are taught in English except for the Malay language and religious studies. So you see how we balance the teaching of both languages. Next slide, please. So in 2003, His Majesty said in his Tita, there is a need, okay, for a change in our education system. So if I want to take a moment to read his Tita, his speech. In view of the eliminating influence of education in one's life, therefore be upheld as a matter of national importance that needs to be fulfilled. And it goes down there, and I want you to look at the highlighted one. In other words, the national education should provide dynamic, forward-looking educational programs to yield the knowledge and skills required by industries and services without ignoring values. So because of this, okay, can you look at the next slide, please? The system Pendidikan Abad 21 was introduced. All right, the national education system. So there's a huge revamp in our education system. And if you look in the middle diagram, you know, there's a computer, there's the light bulb, and whatever, all the other pictures. Basically, that's very symbolic of how holistic our education is. So the curriculum is designed to provide learners with broad, balanced, relevant, and differentiated learning experience, and it takes into account each learner's needs while making provision for progression and continuity. Now, in terms of a language education, there is greater emphasis on English. So from now on, all subjects from even primary level are taught in English, except for religious studies, physical education studies, and hang on, and religious education. Okay, next slide, please. So current situation, now I want you to look at this slide and I want you to look at two things. The first on the left is the percentage of English language teachers in Brunei. As I mentioned before, back in the 1950s, there is a huge reliance on our expatriate teachers. Okay, and back in the 1980s, we relied so much on our CFBT teachers, all right, and at the same time, we have lots of teachers in training for English language teaching. But now, as of today, we have 872 local English teachers and only 195 expatriates, all right, and most of them are from CFBT teachers. All right, so you can see the difference now, you know, and basically it just shows about, it shows that our language education system has changed. All right, and I wanted to look at that picture as well. Okay, you'll see kids sitting not in facing the, not so much of the, what do you call this, the uniform table, and you see a girl standing there, sharing something, speaking up, and the teacher taking a step back and allowing this to happen. All right, so this is something that is very new now, because we introduced like dialogic teaching, and so there's a lot of change in how we teach our kids in schools, especially English language. All right, and this is because of all the initiatives that's happening now. Can I have the next slide, please? Now, one of the initiatives that we have introduced in Brunei is the Literacy and Numeracy Coaching Program, which was introduced in 2016. And we partnered with the Education Development Trust to implement this coaching program. So it is to support MOE in achieving our Wawasan 2035 vision, to delivering transformational change in the teaching of literacy and numeracy. And the aim is for high quality English and maths teaching, to aim that all students highly numerate and literate in English, and a system empowered to deliver sustained improvement in literacy and numeracy. Next slide, please. So in 2017-2019, we deployed 60 international literacy and numeracy coaches to schools. We hired them from all over the world, all right, to basically to help our English and maths teachers, and also to coach potential local literacy and numeracy coaches. So since 2007 till present, we have trained local literacy and numeracy coaches. So to date, we have 70 coaches in literacy coaches in school. We hope that by 2024, we'll have 286 literacy coaches in schools. There's only 155 schools in Brunei, just to let you know. That's not a lot. Okay, so to have 286 literacy coaches, that's like at least one coach in one school, or nearly two. All right. So, but now 19 literacy coaches from cohort 7 and 8 are still undergoing training, and we are expecting to train cohort 9 and cohort 10 in 2020. Okay, next. We also have intervention programs to help our children and our teachers. All right, so I can't really say much on this because this is still in it has not really been launched, but it is hopefully we can start in January or February. But the aim is to achieve students' expected attainment of knowledge and level of competencies according to their year development level, and the focus is all primary school students from all tiers. We have 3 tiers: tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 students. Tier 3 being the highest, and tier 2 being average students, and tier 1 those who really have help in achieving the number tier 2. Can I have the next slide, please? So how do we support our teachers? Okay, through professional development, and we have different levels of professional development. The school-based means that that's very internal. I mean, the school support the teachers within the school internally. There's also cluster-based. We have 6 clusters, different in different districts. There's a subject-based committee, and we have PD training providers as well, and Brunei Darussalam Teachers Academy, where I work at the moment. All right. Next slide, please. So I just want to say most of teachers go to the academy, all right, and it's just very new. It's just established in 2013, so we're only 7 years young, all right. So it's Center for Teacher Professional Development, and so the academy is established in hope to add valuable contribution towards the development of teachers' competency standards. So our courses are very competency based. All right, so since 2016, we have supported 3,000 teachers. In Brunei, we only have 7,000 teachers, all right? So that's half of our teachers already going through our doors to get professional development. But the training of English language is done by one lead facilitator, which is me, and I have help from 7 associate facilitators. Our associate facilitators are those teachers who are still practicing in school, but they come and help me with the training of teachers. Our tagline is by teachers for our children. So, you know, so that's we help our teachers because we want it to be real. Okay, we don't want to train teachers, you know. We don't want our trainers to be those who have left school like for 10 years. All right. So hang on, let me. Okay, so in 2020, this year, we offer 16 courses for both primary and secondary school teachers. Next slide, please. Okay, besides the academy, we have the Brunei English Language Teachers Association, who helps support our teachers as well. So it's a fully voluntary, non-profit, non-government organization. I think some of you might have heard about this, and must have been invited to our conferences. So what we do is we organize lots of workshops for teachers, you know, professional development, international conferences, and we published some our first reading series just a few years ago. All right, and we work closely with the Ministry of Education to help our teachers. Okay, next slide. Oh, okay, I'm done actually. All right, so I hope I have given an idea to everyone what our language education system is like in Brunei, and how we support our teachers.
Okay, thank you for your enlightening presentations, Ms. Haja Siti Salawati. Let's give a big round of applause for her. Okay, Bapak Ibu, ladies and gentlemen, for the next 30 minutes, we will have a question and answer session. I hope there will be lots of questions for those of you who are curious about language education policy in Brunei as well as in our own country, Indonesia. Okay. I'm waiting for the committee to share the questions. How many questions do we have for this first session? Okay, the first question is for Dr. Luisa Saidi from Indonesia, from Jakarta. It is the question is from Mr. Zeni in Blitar, is Java. What is teacher's mover? Okay, so far there are 5 questions. How are we going to do this? I read all the questions and then everyone will answer. I mean, the presenter will answer one by one, or one question and one answer. Ibu, I'm not sure. Okay, one by one. Okay, in this case, I'm inviting Ibu Luisa Saidi to answer the questions from Mr. Zeni. What is teacher's mover? Perhaps this is what this means, guru penggerak, ya, which is right now is undergoing. Teachers are still undergoing training as a teacher's mover. Ibu Luisa, can you? Oh, sorry, it's Mrs. Zeni. Sorry, because you didn't put. Okay, teacher's mover. I'm not involved in this program, so I have a very limited information on this. Guru penggerak, Ibu Luisa, you can answer perhaps in Bahasa Indonesia. It's okay because the question is from East Java.
Nila. Thank you
Yes,
very
Bu.
much, Bu Nila.
Yes.
Hello. Yeah.
Hello, yeah, Bu, please. The
Yeah.
question. Okay.
Yeah. Teachers mover, it means all of the teacher in Indonesia. So the Minister of Education and Culture give opportunity for them to follow the test select, and then the teacher lead to be a high level and be a headmaster the next future. I think it's program to make all of the teacher competitive, and then they must prepare how to be the next time to be the best teacher, and then make to a headmaster. I think it's this program from the Minister of Education and Culture make the best teacher and then competitive to the best and the last to make them to a headmaster. I think this program give the time, give the opportunity for the teacher, all of the teacher in Indonesia. I think this program is good program for all of the teacher. Thank you, Bu Nila.
Thank you, Ibu Luisa. So Teachers Mover gives opportunity for best teachers, let's say best teachers from all over Indonesia, which in the future are expected to be a leader in their own schools, such as become a school principal. Okay, thank you, Ibu Luisa.
Thank
Next
you, Bu
question,
Nila.
please. Okay, the second question, it's still for you, Ibu Luisa. It's from Ibu Dwina Rosmalinta Tulusita from Lampung. How does the government of Indonesia view the policy of national language related to the recognition of Southeast Asia language policy? How does the government of Indonesia view the policy of national language?
Yeah, thank you very much, Bu Dwina. I think the government of Indonesia have the policy for the national language is Indonesian language, and related to recognition in South Asia. And then the policy of Indonesia and the other country make a decision that every country has the national language and then have the international language. For example, Indonesian language and other language have we must have to learn it. I think the government from ASEAN have committed to how the teachers' language must learn national language and then international language. I think that's all, Bu Nila.
Okay, thank you, Bu Luisa. So each country should make sure that their population or their people learn their national language prior to acquire foreign language. Okay. Next question, please. Okay, this one is from Malaysia. I'm sorry, it's a Miss or Mr. Haswan. The question is directed to Brunei presenter, Ibu Haja Siti Salawati. Is there any English language teacher training or professional development program for Southeast Asia teachers in Brunei?
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Haswan.
No, Ibu, I'm sorry, Ibu Luisa, but the question is for Brunei.
Oh, yeah.
Ibu Haja Siti Salawati.
All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
Okay. Okay, thank you for that question. At the moment, our professional development programs are solely for our teachers in Brunei. We haven't ventured out because we're so young. You know, we're only, as I said, 7 years young. So, so we are still growing. So hopefully in the future there will be opportunities to offer this to the Southeast Asian teachers. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Ibu Haja Siti Salawati, for your response. Yeah, hopefully there will be opportunity for other
Yes.
countries in
Inshallah.
Southeast Asia. Okay.
Yes.
Next question, please. Again, this question is for you, Ibu Siti Salawati. From Gusti Wildayani in Martapura. It's in West Borneo, I think. Yeah, West Borneo. Would you like to share any ideas or strategies for applying Dwi Bahasa at school while most of the teachers do not know English well? How to motivate those teachers to know more about English?
All right. Okay, thank you for the question. All right. When the Dwi Bahasa system was introduced in Brunei, we relied so much on the CFBT teachers to help our English language teachers in schools. All right, and at the same time, we were grooming our teachers by through the universities as well. All right, so it was a long process, but that's why we have qualified teachers by the time we introduced the SPN 21. All right. How to motivate those teachers to learn more about English? I really don't have an answer for that. I think I guess it's to do with self-interest. All right. I think last time when it was the SPN 21, because there's a huge emphasis of English, teachers are forced to teach in English, all right, and because we were already in the system from the Dwi Bahasa system, so most of us already knew English, all right, so yeah, so the Dwi Bahasa system basically gave birth to a lot of us talking, growing up. We call this, we grew in a Dwi Bahasa system that it strengthened both our languages. So by the time it came to SPN 21, we were fluent speakers. I think that's how it is.
Okay, thank you very
I hope
much
I've answered the question.
Yes, okay. Is there any other question? Okay, number 6. We skip number 5. Okay, no problem. Okay, so okay, still for you, Ibu Siti Salawati. It's from Lestari, North Sumatra, Indonesia. Can you inform us how the forms of literacy and numeracy coach in your country?
I don't actually quite understand this question. How the forms of literacy? What does that actually mean? What does that question want me to?
Probably it means what constitutes of literacy and or how do you coach the teachers so that they know the literacy and numeracy? Okay.
All right. The literacy, we got our literacy and numeracy coaches from the literacy and numeracy coaching program, and when the program was introduced, not only they brought in the 60 international coaches from all over the world, but we started training our teachers for literacy and numeracy coaches. There is very stringent, not stringent, there's very strict criteria when in choosing literacy and numeracy coaches. There are our first cohort are those who have excelled in the teaching of both maths and English in schools. All right, so there was long process of selection, and so they were trained for 15 months. Okay, and it was in 3 phases. There's the accredited, specialist, and expert phase. All right, so once they completed that, then become coaches. These coaches are also supervised by the international coaches that were brought into Brunei. I hope that's
Okay, yeah, probably here.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I don't know the rest of the audience.
All right.
Okay. Thank you very much for your response, Ibu Siti Salawati. Forms in here probably means activities or programs, yeah, something like that. I guess. Okay. Is there?
Okay. So yeah.
You would like to give a depth information? It's okay. Yeah, please do.
All right. So these coaches have learning partners in school, so they have who are identified as well as maybe the weaker teachers. Okay, so they go and
It looks like she's freezing, frozen, or it is in my. I'm not sure.
It is frozen from.
Yeah, it's frozen from Ibu Siti. Yeah.
From GB members from Brunei.
Oh, okay. I don't know. Can we move on to the next slide or what?
Yes.
Okay. Let's move to the next questions. It's for Ibu Luisa. I hope she's still here. It's from Mr. Sahril Anchi in West Papua. Talking about higher order thinking skill related to the 5 strategies of holistic learning, how to improve the students' ability in learning process for the students that have lack of enthusiasm for learning. As a matter of fact, my students in West Papua still have many problems such as a lack of media and tools to study, and they have a low motivation. Thank you. So basically, it's how to nurture students' higher order thinking skills, while lack of motivations and lack of media still exists in students' daily life or environment. Ibu Luisa. Perhaps the committee, can you what is it, show the video whether or not Ibu Luisa is still in the Zoom room?
Yes, Luisa has already left the meeting.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yes, probably due to the connection problem.
Oh, okay. So we skip this question or move to another question, or we'll send this question for her so that she can answer in written. I don't know. Any other question? How many do we have? We still have probably 10 more minutes. Okay. Okay, so yeah, question number 7 also directed to Ibu Luisa. It's from Pangkal Pinang.
Ms. Brunilla, I think the speakers from GB members of Brunei Darussalam and Indonesia has left the meeting due to the problem.
Okay. So we can just end the session or what?
Yes,
I think so. Yes.
yes, you may.
Okay. Okay, then thank you for the committee. Uh, Nevertheless, I should thank Dr. Luisa and Ibu Siti Salawati for the fruitful information and responses. Okay, distinguished audience, allow me to give you a conclusion for the first session. Oh, sorry. Here's the conclusion for the first session. One of Indonesia education goal is to create independent entrepreneur and a qualified worker competent in foreign language and technology. And then students who understands and applies Pancasila in their daily life is the ultimate impact expected from Indonesian education, which incorporates the 21st century skills such as creative, independent, as well as able to think critically in order to live in the borderless society full of diversity. The Ministry of Education and Culture of Indonesia believes that a school as an institution is an ecosystem on its own. Thus, everyone works within the institution should support one another to make learning community under the guidance of the school principal who serves as an agent of change and an instructional leadership. Since 2013, Brunei Darussalam has developed its educational strategy to welcome the 21st century challenges. The strategy is entitled National Education System for the 21st Century, or Sistem Pendidikan Nasional Abad 21. To achieve its goal, Brunei Darussalam puts greater emphasis on English language and decided that it should be used as a medium of instruction in all subjects at the primary level. Both Indonesia and Brunei Darussalam realize the importance of language education to prepare their future generation as a survival in the 21st century. While English is the sole foreign language focus in Brunei, Indonesia gives more opportunity to students to choose other foreign languages such as Arabic, French, German, Japanese, and Korean, because English is a compulsory subject at the secondary school level. Both countries also take into account the role of language teacher and provide them with many institutions with many continuous professional development programs within and outside the country. Oh, it's good to have you back, Ibu Haja Siti Salawati. I'm sorry, but we already ended this first session, and I've just finished reading the conclusion for the first session. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Bapak Ibu, let's now move to the second session. Or is there any break? Okay, you can have your own coffee break, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, our third presenter is Mr. Tit Map, Director of the Institute of Foreign Languages, the Royal University of Phnom Penh, Cambodia. Mr. Map is the governing board member of SIKIL for Cambodia since 2016. For today's webinar, Mr. Map is going to talk about language education in his country, of course. Let's give a very warm welcome to Mr. Map. The floor is yours, Mr. Map.
Okay, thank you, Ibu Nila. Let me share the screen. Okay. Okay, good morning, and so is it, am I the one sharing the screen or from the organizer? Okay, so the screen is sharing from the organizer.
Okay.
The committee will share the screen.
Okay, yeah, it's from the committee.
Okay. Because I have modified a little bit of the screen.
I see.
Is it possible that I share the screen?
Share. Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the committee, please give a chance.
Can you let me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you
enable me to share the screen? Yep. Okay, thank you very much. So can everyone see the screen now?
Yes, it's good.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah. So thank you and thank you very much and very good morning to everyone and welcome to my presentation this morning. I will talk a bit about the language education in Cambodia. Probably we all know, so we just start with the map of Cambodia. So we are surrounded by Thailand, Laos, Vietnam, and the Gulf of Thailand. And I'm from the capital of the Cambodia, that is Phnom Penh. So if we look a little bit at the historical context of Cambodia, so first, according to the constitution of our country, Khmer language is the official language and script, right? Cambodian language is called Khmer language. Yeah, we have our own script. Yeah. So according to the history, right, the language is, I mean, it's long time ago. It's with a literary tradition dating at least from the early 7th century. And education has been a major concern in Cambodia for centuries. Monastery school run by Buddhist monks were in operation in the past. I mean, before we had school. And according to the study by Mr. No Sun, he talked about education policy for the minority group in Cambodia. So beside our Khmer language, there are also other 18 languages spoken in Cambodia by the minority. But if you look at here, there are 18 minority, but there are not many speakers. Although there are many, but not many speakers. So for Cambodia, Khmer is used, and we don't use the minority languages as. So mostly they are spoken by their group only. And the French took over Cambodia in 1863, and a Western school were introduced to Cambodia at that time. So the French implemented a French language policy in Cambodia. And at that time, French was the language of instruction. However, Cambodian people were not very interested in those education system because the system did not touch the life of the Cambodian peasantry, I mean lower class people. So mostly the French education were for the elite group only. So Cambodian people go back to their own ways of studying. I mean, study at the we call monastery schools in their village. Because in Cambodia, we can see there are we call a temple. We call temple school. So there are temples in almost every village in Cambodia. So most Cambodian people got at their education in those temple school. And the teachers were mostly the monks in those schools. So they were taught Khmer language and Buddhism as well. So if you look at the language in Cambodia from the past until now, you see we are switching languages. For example, from 1953, even after the independence to 1970, French were used as the medium of instruction for many schools. And from the 1970 to the 1975, because with the support from the American, so we have English and French at the same time. However, from 1975 to 1979, because of the Khmer rule, the education system were completely destroyed. And the Khmer rule destroyed educational facility and killed students, teachers, and other scholars. And some schools were used as prison. So not only language education, but no education during that time. So we all were forced to work in the field, farming mostly, and no one lived in the city. All the city people were forced to move to the countryside to work on the farm. And after the revolution in 1979, because we got support from the Russian and the Vietnamese government, and then the language policy at that time were foreign language policy were Russian and Vietnamese. I mean, besides studying our own Khmer language, this is the foreign languages that were introduced in Cambodia. But from 1989, that the Cambodia starting to use English because after the we call agreements with the other political party in Cambodia, so our language, foreign language policy changed from Russian, Vietnamese to English and French. So in fact, the language policy in our country changed according to the political situation in the countries. So the French language used to be the language of government in Indochina, and it's still spoken by many older Cambodian. And so in Cambodia, I mean, if foreigners coming to Cambodia, if you see older people, mostly you can use French to communicate with them. But for younger generation, might be they might not understand French. So English might be the language that you can use to communicate with them. For English, right? In 1990, is the rebirth of foreign languages in Cambodia. Right? Since 1993, there have been a growing use of English. So English is replacing French as the main foreign language. So in here, I just want to clarify that there is in Cambodia, we don't have a second language. So mainly we have our national language, official language, that is Khmer, our Khmer language, and English and French are regarded as foreign language. So they are equal. If you look at the sign of the any organizations or government sectors, you will see the sign, the big sign on top with our own language. and French and English will be below. So we don't put English first or French first. It means we put Cambodian on the top line, and then English and French on both the same equal line, I mean one side each. So French and English are regarded as a foreign language in Cambodia. So we don't have a second language. That's why we don't have second language. But in reality, English is the second language after our own Cambodian language. But as a law, we say both English and French are the foreign languages. So English is widely taught in several universities, right? And also you can see many signs in both English and Khmer, bilingual rather than French. Only the government workplace that they put both English and French as the foreign language. So due to this shift, English is now mostly used in Cambodia international relations and replace French. So French is moving down, and then the English is up. And there is also another sign of foreign language in Cambodia, Chinese. So if we see Chinese is becoming more popular in Cambodia because of the, we can say because of the Chinese influence and also the Chinese investment in Cambodia. A few years ago, there are Confucius Institute in Cambodia, which offer a Chinese language program and language and cultures to Cambodian people. Although Chinese is not offered in our public school, many private international schools offer a trilingual program. So in Cambodia, there are public school and private school. For private school, many international private schools, they offer 3 languages to students. That is Khmer, English, and Chinese, not French. So I just want to look a little bit at our public school. So for primary school, according to our Ministry of Education, English is offer English and French. Students can have a choice. As I mentioned earlier, English or French. But in reality, we can say more than 90% of the students would choose English as their foreign language. So like say in one school, there might be only one class of French language, but there might be nearly all of them choose English. And for primary school, even the government say that we will start English from grade 1, but in reality, we can manage to start English only from grade 4. And as far as I know, there is no French in primary school yet. So from grade 4 to grade 6, students will study English for 2 hours per week. And we say 2 sessions. So the duration is 40 minutes for primary school, right? And 35 weeks for 1 year. Yep. 2 allocated hours, but each session is only 40 minutes. And here are the textbook that we use for our primary school. We have grade 4, grade 5, yeah, and grade 6 here. That's for primary. And for secondary school, this one is a lower secondary. So they're all secondary, right? 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we increase the number of foreign languages in the curriculum. That is 4 hours per week for foreign language. Students can choose either English or French as their foreign language. So I mean a student can pick up whether they want to move to English or French for their foreign language. And from this, the Ministry of Education, so if we look at school, besides studying other subjects, they pick up foreign language. So the local language 60% and 40% for the international language. It means French or English, 40% and 60% for the Khmer language. So here the textbook that we use in lower secondary school. If you look at the book, there are books from support from some NGOs. And we have also the syllabus for grade 10 and 12 in detail. And here is just one of the example how we use the text, the syllabus for our upper secondary schools. And because in Cambodia, the upper secondary school, we don't have a new textbook yet. We still use the old one, like book 4, 5, and 6. Book 4 is for grade 10, 5 is for grade 11, and 6 is for grade 12. But for the lower secondary, we have a new textbook that we have grade 7, 8, and 9 here. But we haven't produced the textbook. We only have the syllabus, but we don't have the textbook for the new one yet. This is the old one. And for higher education, we can say in most university in Cambodia, English is offered in the first 2 or 3 years of their 4-year BA program. It means students have to study English for like between 4 and 6 hours per week during their first year, second year, or third year of their BA program. And because we don't have the same policy, some universities just offer general English program, but some offer ESP program. For example, if you are studying science, so probably they offer English for science or English for business or to those major students. Okay, I think that is all from what I can tell everyone about the language education in Cambodia. So I'm happy to answer any question from the participants here.
Okay, thank you very much for your fruitful presentation, Mr. Matt. Let's give a big round of applause. Okay, let's turn the time over to the Governing Board of Malaysia, Dr. Rusmini binti Ku Ahmad. She is Director of Institute of Teachers Education Malaysia, and she has represented her country to SIKIL since this year, 2020. Dr. Rusmini will enlighten us with the education of first and second language in Malaysia. Distinguished audience, please welcome Dr. Rusmini.
So, Dr. Rusmini, please unmute your audio.
Yeah, your speakers.
Okay, sorry.
It's good now.
Good morning, everybody. In this presentation, I would like to share what Malaysia is having in its education blueprint 2013 until 2025, and what relates to language policy and language education. The purpose of education in Malaysia is to enable Malaysian society to have command of the knowledge, skills, and values necessary in a world that is highly competitive and globalized, arising from the impact of rapid development in science, technology, and information. In the Malaysian education blueprint, we have two main aspirations, namely system aspirations, which comprise access, quality, equity, unity, and efficiency. And secondly is the student aspiration, which consists of knowledge at the most basic level. Every student needs to be fully literate and numerate, and this equips them with basic life skills and enables them to function effectively in society. And we need our students to have a thinking skills, and every student needs to develop skills of inquiry and learn how to continue acquiring knowledge throughout their lives, to be able to connect different pieces of knowledge and to create new knowledge. And we need our students to think creatively and thinking. They need to have a critical thinking and the learning capacity. And we need our students to have this kind of leadership skills, which we need them to be resilient, to have the entrepreneurship skills, emotional intelligence, and strong communication skills. And we need them to have ethics and spirituality, that is integrity and civic responsibility. Our students also, they need to have this national identity. For every student, they will identify themselves proudly as Malaysians, and irrespective of ethnicity, beliefs, socio-economic status, or geographical location. And finally, we need our students to be to have a bilingual proficiency. Every student will be proficient in Bahasa Malaysia as the national language, and in English language as a second language and the international language of communication. And our students will also eventually have the opportunity to learn an additional language. Malaysia is unique in diversity, and multicultural heritage provides a competitive advantage to all, because we are multiracial, and students will continue to have the opportunity to learn Chinese and Tamil language at national type schools. At our national schools, we learn Bahasa Malaysia. But at our national type schools, our students can learn Chinese and Tamil language, because these are the medium of instructions at our national type schools. And currently, some national schools also offer the opportunity to learn the third language, such as Chinese, Tamil, Arabic, Iban, and Kadazan Dusun. At secondary level, this is expanded to include other international languages as well. Like, for instance, French, we have Germans at our boarding schools, and Japanese and Korean as well. And over time, all students will be encouraged to learn at least 3 languages, and this allowing them to collaborate and communicate effectively with fellow Malaysians and Malaysia's neighbors in today's rapidly globalizing world. So next slide, please. Okay, next slide, please. There are elements or initiative that we can achieve our language policy. First is passing requirements. Our students need to pass at the Malaysian Certificate of Education. It's compulsory for them to pass bahasa Melayu, and they need to acquire a certain quality in English language. And we have policy language for pre-service teacher training and in-service teacher training. I will explain it later. And initiative in strengthening English language education. Next, please. For Malaysian Certificate of Education, it is compulsory for our students to pass Bahasa Melayu in the Malaysian Certificate of Education, or MCE. We call it SPM, and the penultimate examination set by the secondary school students is compulsory for them to pass. And minimum requirements to enroll in the at the higher institution, higher education institution, they must get distinction in Bahasa Melayu, and at least minimum requirements they pass in English language. So it's compulsory for them to acquire the knowledge, the language, in order for them to enroll at the higher education institution. Whether they want to enroll at the university, polytechnics, or at the teacher training institution, they need to obtain at least minimum requirements in these two languages. Next slide, please. I would like to just focus on the pre-service English language teachers. In our training institution, we train teachers so that they are very well versed in languages, specifically in Bahasa Melayu and in English as well. And our recent policy started early this year. Our teachers, our English teachers, they need to reach a certain level of English quality, which is they need to get at least C1 in the common European framework reference. We use our Malaysian University English test, which we call it MUET. At least they have to get band 5 for English teachers, which is equivalent to C1 in the CEFR. So what if they do not achieve? For teachers in the training, who are still in the training system for pre-service, they will not be able to get a placement in 2022. They at least they have to get a C1 for them to enable them to teach in schools. So our training institution, our curriculum and our training are geared towards our students to get a C1 in the pre-service. And for those who are in the service, who are in the system, they need to attend refresher course. They need to attend professional development for them to get C1. So we are really all out and go for quality for our English teachers to get C1. So in order to reach the standard of quality in English, our secondary school students as well, they need to get at least B2. So the curriculum, the pedagogical at the secondary level and primary level as well, we are really focusing for our students to achieve B2 at the secondary level. So for English teachers, they need to get C1, and for lecturers who teach English optionist, so they need to get 1 grade higher, which is C2 in the CEFR. That is equivalent to band 6 in our Malaysian University English test. So from time to time, they can get, they need to undergo this or they need to take the test, the MUET test or Malaysian University English test to gauge their level of proficiency in English, regardless of they are already an English teacher in the system or in the pre-service system. So next slide, please. So for teachers in the system as well, they need to they must achieve C1 level in the Common European Framework Reference. So we are focusing really focusing on the quality of our English teachers, so that they need this kind of professional development, refresher course and other courses as well, so that they can get geared towards having this kind of quality to reach this level of C1. And for lecturers, they need to get higher, that is C2. So in order to reach the certain level of standard, we have initiative. Next slide, please. We have programs and activities, namely the professional upskilling of English language teachers, or we call it ProELT, that continuous efforts are being undertaken by English Language Training Center to support teachers who are not achieved the minimum CEFR band C1, and as a result, in 2016, the ProELT refresher course, which combines a face-to-face interaction and virtual learning modules, was designed to help teachers from the previous cohorts to improve and reach the minimum of band C1. And ProELT, and this program was further reviewed in 2017 and took on a blended mode, which was delivered in 3 phases for 120 hours. Phase 1 and phase 3 were conducted face-to-face for a week, while phase 2 was conducted online. And with the COVID-19 pandemic sweeping across the globe, everyone has been forced to adopt and adapt to a new normal. So for 2020, ProELT training was no exception as a training. It went fully online for the first time, as opposed to the blended mode previously because of the pandemic. And secondly, the English language enhancement program for secondary school. And the English language enhancement program for secondary schools, and it's an initiative under the Malaysian Education Blueprint, which has been ongoing since 2014. And the program is targeted at 1,191 schools, which perform below the national average of 77%. So it's quite low performing schools, so they are having this kind of program. And this program ensures that intervention are conducted in hotspot schools throughout the school support plan. And the school support plan aims to enable teachers to recognize and address the learning needs of individual students by applying a data-driven approach with emphasis on differentiated teaching and learning in English language. And we have a special coach. We call it a school improvement specialist coach, which we station them at our district education department. Most of the district, they have these specialist coaches to coach English language teacher and English for those schools who are low performing schools, English and other subjects as well. We call it SISC. And we have another program which is what we call highly immersive program, or HIP. In 2016, the highly immersive program was developed with the aim of creating an immersive English language learning environment. We want to provide the environment for all schools actually, so that they can have this kind of English environment environment. So they come up with various programs, various initiatives, and to encourage the usage of language in these schools. And HIP, or highly immersive program, has now expanded to all 10,000 primary and secondary schools nationwide. And we have another program that we call it the Dual Language Program, or DLP. A DLP is actually to promote using English in teaching science and mathematics. The DLP was conducted at 379 schools, based on the encouraging responses from teachers, students, and parents, as well as support from the private sector in 2016. Actually, we have a criteria to for schools to conduct the dual language program. Firstly, is the competency of the capability of math and science teachers to teach these two subjects in English. They must be well versed and must be very good in English, so that they can explain well in these two subjects. And request from the parents that the parents really want their students, their children to be taught these two subjects in English. And the schools who are going to conduct dual language program, they must be very good in Bahasa Melayu as well, because we do not want to sideline our national language. So they must be very good in Bahasa Melayu, and the teachers must be very competent in teaching science and mathematics in English. And we are establishing a partnership with the Cambridge English to come up with our curriculum, that is aligned to the CEFR, at the primary and secondary level, and at the teacher training institute as well. So we have this kind of consultation, some advice from the Cambridge English. And with that note, thank you. That's all I can share for today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Rusmini, for your inspirational talk. Finally, we come to the last presenter of today's webinar. Dr. Zhou Min is the Director General of the Department of Myanmar Nationalities Languages, and he's also the governing board member of SIKIL since 2018. The topic that Dr. Zhou Min will cover is the history and language policies in Myanmar. Without further ado, Dr. Zhou Min, the floor is yours.
So, thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to give a presentation on language policy and language education in Myanmar. Okay. Okay. Okay, so it is my pleasure to give this presentation because I have a chance to let all my colleagues know about the language policy and language education in Myanmar. Okay, so my presentation will be divided into Myanmar education in brief, education and language policies before 1948. So when Myanmar gained its independence, And after 1948 and after 1962, when the military government took office, and after 1981, after 2014. And then I will go on talking about the impact of language policy on education. Okay, next, please. So Myanmar is the second largest in Southeast Asia. So next slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay, so Myanmar is the second largest in Southeast Asia, and its population is 51.49 million, according to 2014 census. Next slide. Okay. So Myanmar has 7 states and 7 regions with 135 national races. The major ethnic groups are Kachin, Kaya, Kayin, Mon, Rakhai, and Bamasian. Myanmar people comprise of 68%, Shan people 9%, Kayin people 7%, Rakhine people 4%, Mon people 2%, Chinese people 3%, and Indian 2%. Now, may I introduce the Myanmar education in brief. Languages in Myanmar belong to several distinct families. 78% of the languages are Tibeto-Burman languages, 10% belong to Thai Kalai languages, 7% belong to Mon Khmer languages, and ethnic languages are spoken by 23 million in Myanmar. The other languages used in Myanmar are the Chinese, Malay, Bengali, Sydney, Hindu, and so on. So the official language is the Myanmar language, spoken by 32 million. The foreign language of Myanmar is the English. So English is regarded as a foreign language. Monastic education was very popular during the time of ancient kings. The British occupied Burma, so our country, the Myanmar, was called Burma in the ancient time. Okay, so the British occupied Burma in 3 cups in 1826, 1852, and 1885. The schools were founded after the First and Second Anglo-Burmese Wars. English became the official language during the British rule, and the ethnic languages continued to be spoken and learned. The foreign Christian missionaries like the British, American, Italian, Portuguese, French arrived in the capital and the towns of Myanmar. The schools for children of natives, English natives by American missionaries and English was taught as a subject. The desire to learn English increased in the years from 1858 to 1873 in Myanmar. The 8 mission schools were accepted and continued for next 60 years. The education center was founded by the British in Lower Burma in 1866. So in the ancient time, we called Myanmar Burma. We called the Myanmar language Burmese. So Burma and the language Burmese. But now we call our country Myanmar, the people, the Myanmar people, and language, the Myanmar language. When we say the Myanmar language, we are referring to not only the language used by the Myanmar people, but also the ethnic languages. So this means, so when we say the Myanmar language, it means so both the Myanmar language, and all the ethnic languages used in our country. When we say the Myanmar people, we are referring to not only the Burma people, but also the ethnic people. So the majority of our country is the Burma, but all the people are called the Myanmar people. Okay, Yangon College was established in 1884, affiliated to Calcutta University. In 1885, English language took the place of Burmese as the language of law and as the language of law and administration, as well as the medium of instruction, medium of education. From 1885, the status of Burmese was second to English. Now let me introduce you to the education and language policies in Myanmar. I will talk about language policy in Myanmar before 1948. Language policy was initiated by the British government in 1872. The 1874 report said, "So great and earnest is the desire of Burmese youth to acquire knowledge, however superficial and useless, of English at the expenses of the knowledge of their mother tongue. Nearly all of them have attempted to teach English, other studies suffering in consequence." Education policy for the British Burma was declared after the British annexation of Burma to India in 1919. Now I will talk about three types of school used, so popular in Myanmar at that time. So the first type was the European court schools managed by Christian mission. So in this type of schools, so the English language was taught at KG, but Burmese as a medium of instruction in pre-middle school classes. The second type was Anglo-vernacular schools, government high schools, and middle schools. In this type of schools, English was taught in lower classes. English was taught in lower classes, but a pass in English was required to go on to university after passing the vernacular used by ordinary people as ninth standard examination. There are three types of school. Okay, so the third type was vernacular schools managed by National Education Council, which was formed after 1920 Wine Code. English was taught from first standard, and the Anglo-vernacular school curriculum was adopted. The Yangon University Act was passed by Burmese Legislative Council in September 1920. The University of Yangon was founded in December 1920, and now we have the 100 years. The Manly College was founded, affiliated to UI, June 1925, and it was upgraded to the Degree College in 1947. The education policy was initiated on 13 September 1948. The three types of schools that were in existence before the war will be abolished, and a uniform school system will be adopted in the country. No language other than Burmese. So nationalism was very popular at that time. So no language other than Burmese or any indigenous language will be taught in primary classes, and English will be taught as a second language in all schools in the post-primary classes. Teaching of English began in 5th standard in 1950 in accordance with that policy. English policy for a welfare state was written in 1952, and status of English was confirmed. English as a second compulsory language. So English was taught as a second compulsory language in secondary school curriculum. Burmese was announced to be the medium of instruction in 1958, and English was taught as a foreign language. After 1959, the ethnic languages were taught until grade 3 as a subject in public schools. This is so according to Nicholas in 1981. Only Mon, Shan, and Karen, whose elites played an important role in language and education, were able to produce curricula. There were no curricula for others due to the lack of scripts, curriculum, textbooks, well-trained teachers, interest of local people, complexity of linguistic settings, and local balance between demography and power between various groups. Now let me move to the language policies after 1962. In 1962, Burmese became the only language of instruction for universities and pre-university classes. English was termed as a foreign language and taught from the 5th standard with the enactment of the University Act in 1964. The teaching of ethnic languages was banned. In 1962 to 1988 was not a gilded age of ethnic languages and their teaching, according to Nicholas, 2018. The major ethnic languages were taught up to grade 3, 45 minutes classes in a week. So some of the languages, so a total of 63 languages, but the coming academic year, so the Ministry of Education will teach 67 ethnic languages, so at the respective schools in Myanmar. Okay, so major ethnic languages were taught up to grade 3. So in grade 1, grade 2, and grade 3, 45 minutes classes a week. So every day, so one class every day. Several textbooks were produced during the 1970s and 1980s for teaching of main ethnic languages. Many ethnic languages, especially Mon, Shan, and Kayin, were taught outside the school hours. English was taught. Now I'd like to explain language policy after 1981. English was taught from kindergarten in 1981. So it was changed from KG, 5th standard, so grade 5 to KG. So English was started to be taught from kindergarten in 1981, starting from 1981. English was to be used as a medium of instruction at upper secondary level to teach science subjects and at university level. But bilingual use of the teaching is also allowed in classrooms. English was to be used in all departments except Myanmar and history at postgraduate level in 1984. Teaching ethnic languages was restricted in mid-1980s. The name of the country, Burma, was changed to the current name, Myanmar, in 1989. The special 4-year education development plan was introduced in 2001 to 2003, 2004 financial year to develop the education sector and to strive for the development of highly qualified human resources. The 30-year long-term education development plans for 2001 to 2030 was also developed. Teaching ethnic languages was not paid much attention to, though inclusive education was considered at that time. Comprehensive Education Sector Review, CESR, was conducted in 2012. So it consists of rapid assessment, phase 1, phase 2, in-depth analysis, and phase 3, development of co-state sector plan. Inclusive education was taken into consideration. 73% of the respondents in 54 townships was recommended. So they recommended learning English from kindergarten. The tradition of teaching English has become rooted in the education system in Myanmar. English was taught from kindergarten in spite of the recommendation made by the CSR to teach English from grade 4, as children of ethnic minorities need to master their language first. But so most of the Myanmar people recommended learning English from kindergarten. Okay, so they recognized the importance of mastering the international language at that time. After 1981, the curricula were reviewed and changes were made. Teaching of ethnic languages outside the school hours was allowed in government schools. The technical support for creating ethnic language curricula was provided. Now I will deal with language education after 2014. The 2014 National Education Law recognized the right of all citizens to education and encouraged the free and compulsory primary education. It mandates the establishment of an education quality assurance system and extends the basic education system to 13 years, KG plus 12, including KG. It acknowledges learning of ethnic languages and culture and the use of ethnic languages as a classroom language. So the National Education Law allows to use the ethnic languages as a classroom languages. So it also allows to use both the ethnic languages and the official language, which is the Myanmar language, both so bilingual as a classroom language. So the 2014 National Education Law provides a definition of, as well as a commitment to, the inclusive education and commits to a decentralized education system. It recognizes the other types of non-government basic education schools, and 2015 Ethnic Rights Law was enacted, and the use and development of ethnic languages are reinforced.
Excuse me, Dr. Jomin.
Yeah.
You still have 5 more minutes.
Yes, thank you.
To present. Okay, thank you.
So after 2014, the National Education Strategic Plan was developed to carry out transformational shifts, and the National Education Policy Commission was formed. Okay, so under the National NEPC, so we have National Curriculum Committee and NAGAC and Writers Committee. And the NESP supports and promotes the ethnic languages and culture, including for the primary age ethnic children who speak different languages. Curriculum reforms were made as at basic education. KG plus 12 system was adopted. The mother tongue was used as a classroom language. So the local curriculum is included at primary level. The ethnic languages were allowed to be taught under the management of the state and regional government. So this is according to the 2014 national education, 2014 and Myanmar national education law. So the locally relevant content was introduced in curriculum framework. The local curriculums were developed and they include the languages of ethnic races, ethnic cultures and traditions and so on. All teaching materials were developed by respective states and regions, and assessment was administered by local governments. The local curriculum was the local curriculum development committee and curriculum implementation committee were formed. The teaching training programs were provided by the local curriculum development teams, and the technical assistance was provided by the Ministry of Education. The local curriculum was included as one of the subjects in the 4-year education colleges program. Currently, so a total of 63 languages are being taught by, so this number of teachers and this over, so 76,000 ethnic children in these schools. Okay, so these are the data. And financial and technical support are provided in drafting the state language policies in Mon Kayen and Kachin State, teaching and learning materials for 24 ethnic groups from Mon Kayen and Kachin were developed. So the research on the effectiveness of teaching and learning of the Myanmar nationalities languages was carried out in 2019 in support of, with the support of UNICEF. The books on ethnic languages, picture dictionaries, and teaching materials were published from my Department of Myanmar Nationalities Languages. So the Ministry of Ethnic Education was formed, and the discussion on language policy has been carried out, and the international conferences were held. So the implementation of the state governments and the language policy has not been approved, but the national constitution in 1948 so recognized the rights for ethnic races, including the indigenous ethnic minority groups. So status of English language, medium of instruction at higher education level needs to reconsider due to deficit of English proficiency of teacher, medium of instruction at basic education. So these are some of the challenges. So most of the challenges so we have a total of over 135 languages, ethnic languages. So even in Chin State, there are over 53 ethnic languages due to the difficult transportation from one mountain to another. So it is very challenging and very political. Okay, and then the next challenge is that, so, okay, for example, in Kachin State, in a classroom in Kachin State, there are more than one group of ethnic children in the same classroom. Okay, for example, in a classroom, there will be the Myanmar children, not only the Myanmar children, but also the, okay, so 2 or 3 ethnic groups of Kachin people. So in a classroom, there are more than one ethnic group of children. And then, so we have difficulty to use the mother tongue as a medium of instruction or as a classroom language, because so there is a diversity of languages in the same classroom. And then there are limited number of classrooms, and we cannot share the classrooms, okay, for that variety of not diversity of not different ethnic groups. So decision of one common standardized ethnic language to be taught and textbooks and teaching materials to be developed in 53 regions in Chin nationality. The use of local curriculum and government school curriculum. So time sharing during the school hours. Okay, and then most textbooks are translation from Myanmar, not feasible to teach in classroom. So low salaries for ethnic language teachers, but we have appointed so teaching assistant and language teachers. Okay. Thank you very much. So for the patient and kind understanding of my presentation. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Zomin, for your informative talk on Myanmar. This is the first time ever for me, at least, to listen about the language policies and education from Myanmar. Okay, I guess for everybody, it's the same thing. Okay, thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, we come now to the question and answer session again. And I'm sure I see there are lots of questions. We have 3 presenters on this second session, so hopefully the questions are equal for each one of you. Okay, I'm waiting for the committee to share the screen. Okay, I'm waiting. Hello, the committee. Okay. Okay, so question number 1 for Mr. Titmap from Cambodia. The question is from Safaruddin Marpaung in North Sumatra. Question number 1, how to position or place English in Cambodia education system as preface language? I'm not sure. First or second language, vernacular in Cambodian. Okay. Is there any scholarship or teacher exchange program among Cambodia and Indonesia? Please, Mr. Tip, would you like to answer the question?
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Ibu Nila. I think the first question, how to position or place English in Cambodia education system. L1 or L2, no, our L1 is Khmer language, right? L1 is first language and L2 is second language. According to our law, we don't regard English as a second language. English is regarded as a foreign language. So I'm not sure, in practice, English is L2, but because in our regulation, we don't regard it as L2 yet. We call it foreign language, FL, rather than L2. So our L1 is our own language. Is there any scholarship? I'm not sure with Indonesia. We don't have any exchange program among teachers in. We do have exchange with some other country, but I'm not sure about Indonesia. Yeah, I don't know about Indonesia whether we have exchange program among teachers or not.
Well, okay.
Maybe Nila can help me answer that one.
Okay, probably when we say teacher, we usually refer to those at the secondary level, while a lecturer is at the tertiary level.
Yes.
So maybe who knows, Sikil or Simeo,
Yeah.
from Simeo, we can initiate this kind of program. But we have a special Simeo center that focus on higher education. It's a Raihead. Okay.
Yeah, Simeo, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, that's just a brief information. Okay, next question, please. Again, for you, Mr. Titmap, it's from Nicholas Ulese Fabela. I'm not sure from which country. What are the policies and what influence do they impact on language teaching? Oh, the influence of the policies on language teaching. The policies of language teaching and the impact.
As I mentioned in my presentation, we focus on our own language, that is Khmer language, that is the national and the official language of Cambodia. So general education from up to grade 12. Our main focus is on our own Khmer language. Even the minority group have to study using the Khmer language. The foreign language that we try to implement in our education system are both English and French. And a student can have a choice to do either English or French. But the language that most students focus on or choose is English, because they are looking for their futures employment or further their education. So the English can help them to get further education, because we don't have plenty of resources in our own language when we want to further our education. So mostly they are in English. That's why many students want to focus on English as the foreign language. I think that's what I can say for this one.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Titmap. Another question? Still for you, okay. This is from Ibu Ika Puspitarini, East Java, Malang. Are there any strategies applied by the teachers in teaching foreign languages, especially for the students who live in rural areas where they may lack exposure in foreign languages?
I think we still, even we adopt the foreign language policy for school teachers at primary and secondary school, because in Cambodia, primary school, there is only one teachers. So the teachers need to cover all science, right? Social science, arts, music, and even language. So one teachers need to know everything. So in that case, it's very difficult for teachers in remote area, because teachers might not know English. So it's very difficult for the teachers to teach English. That's why even in our curriculum, they are English, but in reality, many teachers in the remote area cannot manage to teach the English. As I know, some primary school teacher, they skip that English session, foreign language session, and they focus only on our mother tongue, Khmer language, and the other subjects. That is for rural area. For even some primary school in the city, I used to talk to some of them, and because their English level is limited, and they have no confidence in teaching the language. So they decide to withdraw because it's not compulsory to them yet, because when they say that they cannot manage to teach, because the government cannot support have like a language teacher to provide to primary school yet. For secondary school, because in secondary level, we have teachers for different subjects. So we have teachers for English, we have teachers for science, math, or geography. So there are different teachers. And for secondary level, we have English language teachers. And in Cambodia, there are teacher training for language teachers. We have like what we call a regional teacher training college to train a language teacher for schools in a certain area, like the whole country is divided into like 5 different we call a region. So each region will cover 4 or 5 provinces in our country, and the teachers in those areas will come and join the teacher trainings to support teachers in those rural areas for foreign language. And as I know, they cannot manage to complete all the the curriculums, even the textbook I saw in the presentation earlier. I mean, not all school can manage to do that. And for we did have supports, but because the teaching of foreign language, English or French, are not the same in all area. That is why in the test or in the exam, like exit exam, even in our grade 12 exit exam, English is just English or French. It's just one of the what we call optional subjects to take. For example, if you fail English or French in your exit exam, it won't affect your final score. So I mean, if let's say I take the exam in all subjects, and I pick up English, if my score is below average, the committee will disregard my score. But if my score is above average, the extra mark will be given to my final result. So it's just like if you can take the exam in that English or French, you get the bonus for that mark. But if you cannot, that is fine. I mean, it won't affect your final result. So because the government cannot manage all school to offer foreign languages, especially to rural area. That's why the foreign language exam is not compulsory. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Map, for the informative response. Another question?
Still my question. Okay.
Okay, still for you.
Okay.
It's from another province.
Okay, so let's look at the question one.
Central Borneo. It's from Mahiang.
Okay,
the private schools in
okay, why private
schools
in Cambodia don't serve French? In fact, there is one international school in Cambodia offer French language. Mostly it's for the elite group, and they want their students to fluent in French. But most private schools do not offer French because of the need of the French language in those because of depend on the need of the student in the private school.
Yeah, what will happen to the French teachers or tutors in Cambodia if there are lacks of
actually because the place where I am working now, there's a department of French where they train French language teacher to secondary school. Yeah, but because of the needs of the French language and not many students choose French, so we have less French teacher as well. But instead of French, the Chinese emerged. So the first foreign language that many students choose would be English, and the second one would be Chinese rather than the French. That is for the private school.
Yeah, so basically students will choose one foreign language which is widely needed based on the global area also, like English and then Mandarin. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, we understand about that.
Okay.
Okay, can we move on to the next
Okay,
question?
the second question. What is the policy of government of sustaining prolonging French language program to the youth to keep their interest on French and national policy, or is erasing French from okay, sorry. Because Cambodia is still one of the member of the Francophonies. I mean, a member of the French language.
Country.
So, yes, speaking country. And every year, the government also celebrate the Francophones to those. And even the number of people is going down, like I mentioned earlier. The older generation still use French. If you talk to Cambodian people who are over 50 years old, most of them can speak French fluently. If you notice our king's father, the old king, mostly he communicated in French rather than in our own language, because they were educated in French.
The King Norodom.
Yes. Like older people, if they education, right? In primary, they might use like in general education from grade 1 to grade 12. They might use Khmer as medium of instruction, but when they move to university level, all medium of instruction were in French. So whether you want it or not, you will be able to use French. And for now, I think even the government policy say English and French are of equal status. The number of French speaking is going down because if you talk to young people, mostly they are able to communicate in English but not in French. But the older generation, they can use French. So I'm not sure about the policy that they will erase the French. I think you need to wait until the next generation, because the policies level, I mean, they still have those people from the older generation.
I see.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting.
That's why. Yeah. Okay, number 3. With the pop-up screen cannot read.
With the declining of youth interest.
So with the decline of youth interest on French, will it be an impact on language? I think yes. So far as I know, those who study French are those who have their plan to continue their study in France and in Cambodia. Because it's influence from the past. When you want to study medical science, mostly because the people like the French, they need to learn French because they plan to go to France or the French-speaking country. And for other subjects, probably there are less and less people focusing on French. But There are also, if you want to do like law, people might focus on French as well, because like you need to read old documents from the past. You might only finding them in French language. So those like histories or material from the past, they all in French language. So that's why French is of still of a certain level of importance so far. What about the okay, I move to number 4. What about the existence of French teachers or tuition in Cambodia? Is there any French teachers that teach other than French language, like such as doubling and as English or art? Yes, in high school, there are some teachers, if they know both languages, they can be the teachers of both, because like sometimes because not many people like, for example, if you want to know, you want to find English teacher, there are plenty around. But if you look for French teachers, sometimes it's quite hard to find one, because there are less and less French teachers. And in the capital city of Cambodia, there is still have one famous French international school that offer general education from grade 1 to grade 12 in French language. So, and there is also we call a French language school in Cambodia as well, supported by the French government. So they still can get jobs, but because there are not as many as English teacher. I think that's what I can answer to that question. Thank you.
Yeah, a very handful questions and also informative response. Thank you, Mr. Map.
Okay.
Okay. Let's move to question number 5. Okay, is for GB for Malaysia, Ibu Dr. Resmini. The question is from Ahmad Japar, Samarinda, East Borneo. I wonder if all English teachers who teach English at most schools in Malaysia should have or pass a CFR level C1 or CFR C1 only for certain schools.
Okay, thank you, Ibu. I will answer these questions. Yeah, it's compulsory for all English teachers to have at least minimum C1 or according to the CEFR. Failing which they need to attend refresher courses or professional courses to get them familiarized with the framework, with the English reading, writing, speaking, and listening. So it's compulsory. It is compulsory for all English teachers. Actually, the ministry, we do not penalize. If they don't reach that level, they need they will be downgraded, or that's not the case. But we need to uplift the quality of our English teachers. So they need to attend courses if they fail to get C1. So we are encouraging our English teachers to uplift their quality of English. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Resmini. Okay. Next question, number 6. Okay, still for you. It's from Cambodia. What is English text used in primary, lower secondary, and upper secondary school? How many lengths of year have the students spent for bachelor, master, and doctoral degrees? If the students choose the education.
Okay. We use text for primary, lower secondary, and upper secondary. That is aligned. Our curriculum is aligned to the CEFR, so that we can get our students get familiarized with the framework to get a certain level of English that is B2 for secondary school. So all the curriculum and our textbooks also is aligned to that. As I mentioned it before, as I mentioned it in my presentation, that the Ministry of Education, together with the Cambridge English Center, they look through our curriculum, they look through our textbooks, and they put some suggestions to our curriculum, so that to reach that quality, certain level of quality in English. And for the second question, how many lengths of year that our students spend for bachelor? Actually, for bachelor, 4 years plus 1 year foundation for our training institution, 4 year of bachelor degree and 1 year for foundation. And for master's degrees, 1 year, and for PhD, minimum 3 years. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Dr. Winnie. It's very interesting. I mean, about the length of years to get from bachelor until PhD. It's similar in most of the country. Okay, again,
Yeah,
next question. Okay, this number 7 for Dr. Jomin. It's from Cristanto, the Philippines Foreign Service Institute. As you mentioned earlier, Myanmar has language policy in the English language. So what initiatives that Myanmar has been taken to improve English teacher quality before they can teach in schools?
Okay, so the question is, so what initiatives that Myanmar has been taken to improve English teacher quality before they can teach in the schools? Okay, so we have the Yangon Yangon University of Education and Sagaing University of Education, and 25 education colleges for pre-service teachers. And in these institutions, so they have the teachers have a chance to develop their English language proficiency. And now, so the British Council is supporting to these universities and education colleges for the English proficiency development of the pre-service teachers. Okay, so this is the special courses for them, and this is a great chance for the English teachers who will teach the English language as English subject at their respective schools to improve their English proficiency. And then, so we also have the NESA, National English Language Center. So it is the main center of the English language development of the nation. Okay, so it also improves the English proficiency development of the university teacher. So it is out of that question. So I would like to talk about the development of English proficiency of the university teacher. So the NESA, National English Language Center, has also been developing the English proficiency of the newly appointed English teachers of the universities. Okay, so they can, so about, okay, so 1.5 month courses. Okay, so this is a very effective program for the newly appointed of English teachers at the universities as well. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Zomin, for your response. Okay, another question for you. It's from Mohammed Ibrahim Mansuri, the LaSalle University. If I'm not mistaken, it's in Singapore. Due to the challenge faced in using mother tongues in educational system, do you think translanguaging would be an option to overcome the grappling experiences of both stakeholders, teachers and students.
Okay, so languaging system is very good technique. Okay, so it is so recommendable. Okay, but so opinions may be different from one person to another. Okay, so so at present, so we have 135 ethnic languages in our country, and so okay, so if, even okay, so in the same language there are sometimes a variety of dialects, but they do not call them dialects. They call them their own languages. Okay, so we cannot take agreement to have the common language among the very similar languages and dialects. Okay, so so we have to use many techniques and many discussions among so our ethnic language groups. And so according to the national education law, ethnic language teaching should be organized under the under the management of regions and state government. So not to the Ministry of Education. So the regions, according to the national education law, regions and state governments will manage the teaching of ethnic languages. Okay, so they can manage the teaching of language, whether the ethnic languages will be taught during the school hours or after the school hours. So it depends on the decision of the region and state governments. Okay, so if there are 2 or 3 or 4 different languages in the same classroom, okay, so it is difficult to use the common language. So when we teach the okay, so ethnic language in the school hours. Okay, so as the classroom language, we can also use the ethnic languages. Okay, so there are 2 kinds of teaching ethnic languages. So teaching ethnic language as a subject, teaching English language as the classroom language, using the ethnic language as a classroom language. Okay, so the Ministry of Education encourages to teach the ethnic languages outside, so during the school hours or after the school hours. It depends on the decision of the region and state government. Okay, so the ministry has taught 63 languages, but in the coming year, 67 languages. So the ministry published, out of 63 languages, ministry published over 36 ethnic languages, language teaching textbooks, course books, free of charge, distribute them to the ethnic children free of charge. Okay, this is so teaching ethnic language as a classroom language. So the ministry encourages to use the grade 1, 2, 3 English language teaching textbooks as the curriculum textbooks. Local curriculum textbooks. Okay, so they can be taught 5 periods a week during the school hours. Okay, so after grade 1, 2, 3, so we will have grade 4, 5, 6, 7, and so on. Okay, so they also have their local curriculums, and according to the national education law, so it's up to that decision of and management of the region and state government. So the Ministry of Education is supporting the teaching and learning of ethnic languages, so in their respective schools. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Zomin. That's a quite interesting information about the translanguaging in Myanmar. Okay, now, ladies and gentlemen, those are the 8 questions for you, the 3 speakers. Okay. And we are very sorry for those who have forwarded the questions, but due to the limited time, we cannot forward all the questions to the speakers. Okay. And once again, prior to end this webinar, let me read the conclusions. And since there are 3 speakers in the second sessions, I think I have about 13 points of conclusions. Okay. First conclusion. Cambodia was once colonialized by France, and the impact was clearly touched in the education sector for the entire nation. Even though up to now Cambodia belongs to Francophone or French-speaking country, the use of French language as a means of instruction can only be found at some institution supported by the French government. And eventually, in 1993, English is widely used in many walks of life, including street signs, which is side by side with Khmer language. In 2002, people could also see the use of English language in stamps and currency. Khmer is the national language of Cambodia, and the foreign language offered are English, French, and Mandarin. But the priority that students choose usually it's English, Mandarin, and French. At the secondary school level, 60% of the hours is dedicated to learning official language, that is Khmer, and the rest, 40% is for foreign languages. At the university level, students must take English for about 4 hours a week for the first 2 years. Again, let me move to Malaysia. Malaysia Education Blueprint, which extends from 2013 to 2025, was designed to anticipate the challenges of 21st century skills. The aspirations of the blueprint prioritize the development of knowledge, thinking skills, leadership skills, bilingual proficiency, ethics and spirituality, and national identity. At the secondary school level, Malaysia supports their students to accomplish high distinction in Malay and English languages in order to pursue higher education. Both requirement of proficiency for pre and in-service teacher is the level of C1 based on CEFR, Common European Framework for Reference, and it was just started this year, 2020. While for the secondary level students, they need to reach level B2 in English, and C2 level is required for those teaching at the tertiary level. Various kinds of programs and activities are offered to enable students at the secondary level master their English language. For example, having an English environment in which students must speak English at certain time and teaching science and math using English. Now for the Myanmar. Myanmar has many local languages, more than 100. I didn't catch the number exact. And fortunately, they have their national language, Myanmar, which is used by 42 million inhabitants. And English, of course, is the first foreign language offered to their education world. Up to the present, English is the first and foremost language taught in all education levels, and from time to time, its role changed according to the government needs and priority. English and Myanmar take turns as medium of instruction in upper secondary school and at university level. Myanmar government also pays attention to the use of local languages in their schools. These include the curriculum development, textbook development, and assessment system with the help of local and international organizations. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, those are the 14 points of conclusion for the second session. Okay, I guess that's the end of today's webinar. We are happy that you are still in the Zoom room with us. Okay, we appreciate you being here, whether you are in the Zoom room or watching through YouTube channel. And let me end today's session with one wise word. The limits of my language mean the limits of my world. Yeah, I guess everybody knows what it means. Okay. Thanks again for joining us today, and we will see you tomorrow. I'm now turning the time to the master ceremony, Miss Farah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Moderator, as well as to our resource persons. Now, before we close our first day, may we request to our resource persons, Moderator, distinguished guests, and Board of Directors of CMU Kitapian Language to put your best position and smile for virtual photo sessions. Okay, let me check it first. Okay, please be ready. I will count to 3 again. 1, 2, 3. Okay, one more time. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of our first day of webinar. We will see you again tomorrow for the final day of the webinar series on language on Wednesday, the 9th December of 2020 at 8 o'clock Jakarta time. The link for the Zoom meeting and YouTube will remain the same. Thank you and have a good day.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, see you.
Thank you.
All of our hi.
Bye, everyone.
You are silent.
Great to see you too, Dr. Tony Sito, Miss Puang. Okay.
Okay.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Okay, bye everyone. Yeah, see you
I will
tomorrow.
leave the meeting. See you tomorrow.
See you
Miss
tomorrow.
Tito, so goodbye. Okay, you are silent.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Leaving now.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Map it. Bye-bye. Okay.
Bye-bye. Okay, see you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye, ma'am.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Nira.
Freda?
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Okay, bye.
Thank you. See you tomorrow.
Okay, see you.
Let's start to make a difference, teaching everyone to learn through science, health, and technology. We will share our expertise by promoting knowledge and policy.
Thank you. Thank you. See you tomorrow. Thank you, Besra. Thank you, Pak Moko.
Bagus. See you.
Creating opportunities by working hand in hand, we can accomplish all our dreams.
Terima kasih, Tim Sikil. See you tomorrow.